Hey, welcome back to No Hype Beer Reviews. Unless it's your first time, then welcome. Please consider subscribing. If you do, hit the notification bell, get all the updates. That's it for today's video. The beer's courtesy of Nerdsense. Thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I will link to their channel below. Make sure you check them out. They're great dudes. It's Saturday, and on Saturdays I do Cellar Saturday, where I actually drink something off the shelf. And this beer was requested by Alexander. So if you see something on the shelf and you're like, hey man, put that towards the beginning, the front of your list for beers to do on Saturdays, just put in the comment section below. So this is Night Shift's Darkling, Imperial Stout aged in bourbon barrels in Short Path Distillery apple brandy barrels. It's from 2019. It is 12.9% ABV. So it is just over 3 years old at time of review. Let's get into it. I have not had this before. I forget if I said that. I don't think anyway. I have no memory of having it. I definitely haven't reviewed it, and I haven't checked it into Untapped, so I'm pretty sure I haven't had it. And I saw Sean from Nerdsense reviewed it. So that was the only review there was someone else who I didn't know also had reviewed it. But anyway, let's get into this review. So yeah, that's black. Almost exactly a finger of a mocha head, small bubbles, medium, large, depending on where you're looking because of when they break up. I guess there's a little bit of brown in there, so it's not full-on motor oil, but it's a dark-looking beer. Let's get into the aroma. I like that. So you do get like some Granny Smith specific like appley notes, but you do get some just like base stout. Little pear with that apple thing. Like, so I'm gonna say buttery, but not. I don't think it's like diacetyl or anything. To me, it makes sense because of the oak aging. Like some wines can take that character out of the oak. Like it's more like that thing. So it's like that, like wine buttery into oak vanilla, but not full on vanilla. I said vanilla like that because I'm the vanilla police, and I barely get any vanilla out of this. The more I'm smelling it, the more barrel apple I'm getting than the base stout, actually, which is really surprising. I should know, even though I saw Sean had reviewed, I didn't like rewatch his review, so I am going into this pretty darn blind. I mean, as blind as possible without what's written, and then I'm sure I watched Sean's review when he released it years ago. Finally, a little bit of smoked chocolate, like dark chocolateness coming through. Must be the beer got mad that I said it was barrel forward, because now I am getting more of the stout. Yeah, nice chocolate. Real nice chocolate, and I think a little bit of smoke. I'm curious to try it and see if it's got that roasty, smoky thing, or if it's more of a sweet stout. But anyway, only one way to find out. Cheers. Thanks again, Nerdsense. There is some... Actually, it's kind of in the middle of like roasty, not smoky at all, but roasty and sweet stout. It's like almost like dead center what I think those two things are. There is sweetness, but there's just a nice dry bitterness, almost espresso level of roast coffeeness to it. You do get some oak specific, especially like towards the finish, and as I'm talking, I mean, it very much is this oaky chocolate aftertaste, which really works, actually. It's a really nice aftertaste. But let's get back into it and get some more tasting notes from when it's not an aftertaste, when it's a current taste. Does anyone ever say that? Chocolate, not particularly sweet, but not like 95% cacao dark chocolate either. So somewhere in between those two things. A slight nuttiness, which is pleasant. Definitely roast. I don't think I can cross the threshold of roast into smoky, even though I got a little bit of that in the aroma. But it's, you know what I've been, actually bought a bag recently of dark chocolate covered coffee beans. Even though I've mentioned the word espresso and I'm now talking about coffee beans, it's not like, you wouldn't think this had a bunch of coffee added, but it is a little bit roastier than I think stouts can naturally do. Clearly it can naturally do it without coffee being added, but it's not also like full-on coffee. But it is, if you take some of the sweetness away from that, at least the brand I bought, which I don't remember the brand name, it's a little less sweet than that and a little less coffee intense because you're biting into, coffee beans. But it is kind of, it's on the path towards that. It's not like a watered down version of it because it's not like distilled. It's more of, or diluted, I mean. It's more of like, somehow like you could turn it down, the intensity of it. Don't know what this was like fresh, but this, as I'm talking, I'm kind of realizing some of these things maybe don't sound like they work well together, but like they really work well together. And I'm thinking some of that age, I always do this hand gesture for like the flavors melded together. But that's definitely happening in this beer experience. A little cherry on the nose that I didn't pick up before, but everything else is maybe different intensities, but everything else, a little bit of grape too. Everything else seems a little, not a little, but like it's still there, it didn't go away. Those are the new things. Yeah, some nice woodiness, which makes sense. For me, the biggest apple note is right at the finish. Then it's a little appley. The spirit, it's interesting because it's not like, I don't know, maybe it's just because I have more bourbon barrel aged stouts or whatever, but like it's kind of nondescript barrel aged. I'm not getting big brandy notes or big apple notes in the taste, which is again weird because I got so much in the aroma. But it works. This is a nice beer. I'm glad I'm drinking now. Like I said, I haven't had it fresh, but it's melding, which is nice, melding together. But I don't think this beer is peak either at this point. But again, I don't have any basis for comparison. That's me assuming. And we know what happens when you assume. You like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, imbibe. Cheers, everyone. Before anyone comments, I know I didn't do part of my spiel, but I thought it was clever to work that into my outro. Cheers.